Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, everyone. I think I got this issue with OBS fixed, but let's make sure. Damn it. Still says Monday morning on YouTube, but it is correct on X. All right. So as I'm doing this, Voidzilla, CoffeeZilla had an interview yesterday afternoon with Mantra's CEO, co-founder, and yeah, it was pretty interesting. You know, I really love the stuff that he does. I mean, but you know, like the goal of his is to, like, you know, really expose some gotcha moments or to catch people. This didn't, I mean, I watched it twice and I didn't really get the idea or the feeling that the CEO was somehow like some type of big fraud or Sam Bankman-Fried. I mean, I didn't really get that at all. I mean, CoffeeZilla, Voidzilla really focused a lot on the you know, selling tokens to OTC over the counter blocks of OM Mantra token to insiders, you know, VC, whatever. And anyways, in exchange for cash that they would use to, you know, support price. And he was calling that pumping, but I don't know. It didn't raise a ton of red flags. I mean, there was that guy, that Mr. P person, that guy raises red flags, but overall, I didn't think it was something like terribly awful. All right, let's see here. Let's make sure that this is displaying correctly. Yeah, crypto market is meh. That is correct. And this still says it's Monday morning. I don't know why it says that. Shouldn't say that. They should be changed on YouTube too. Okay, so getting into things. Yes, we will. Yep, no problem about that. I mean, this is really just kind of par for the course. This is the kind of shenanigans you expect to see with, I mean, see, quarter two in April in general is kind of a meh kind of month. It's not great. It's not horrible. It's really kind of in the middle of the pack. I have to find the article that I did this on, but I'll make sure I can hear that all right. Okay, let me pull that up. Because in the light paper, I did do what to expect in April and Q2. Here we go. All right, so quarter by quarter stats Q4. This is not going back to 20. This is just looking at the last 10 years. Going from 2020 2020 2015 to 2025. Here we are. So quarter by quarter, you know, quarter four is definitely the best performing quarter. 7 versus 3 in the green. Average gains of 70%. Q2 is the next best, which is what we're in. But when you go down by month, you see, when months close in the green, looking at all 12 and each month over the last 10 years, April is smack dab in the middle. It's when it closes in the green, its average gain for Bitcoin at least is 22.24%. And again, when you look at April, when it's in the red, it's down 9.37%. So it's not a huge outperformer or underperformer. And, when it comes to the overall performance, it's ranked 4th, which is surprising, given that it's in the middle of the pack. But yeah, that is how things pan out. May is the best month for Bitcoin. When it closes in the green, it's the best performer. And when you look at the best months, May by far is the best. So, we're in the last half. Hey, why did you do Shield Cello? What are you talking about? I have no idea what this person's talking about. Yeah, so Mazement's April is just kind of bleh, not a lot to write home about or talk about. So that is April for you. Yes, we can look at now. Yeah, Zcash was interesting. On X, this was something I saw pop up. It was kind of funny. It was Tyler Winklevoss, I believe, posted something about Zcash and how Binance was going to. I mean, it was one of the tokens. On Binance now, the users community can vote to remove tokens. That's not something that is a thing that just happens because everybody votes for it. There's still something in the terms where Binance reserves the right to not do that. Let's see, Winklevoss. Let's see. Yeah, Tyler Winklevoss. Zcash is privacy technology that protects human rights. I hope Binance does not delist it. Zcash is one of the most important and underrated cryptos in the world right now, which I 100% agree with. Zcash, if you don't know what Zcash is, it's considered a privacy coin. But what makes Zcash different than something like Monero, Monero and Zcash are both hard forks of Bitcoin, but Zcash, what makes it different than Monero as far as a privacy coin is that you have the option to make certain parts of the transaction non-private. So you can either shield the whole transaction so it's private, or you can make things as public as you want them, which is great because for a lot of exchanges that have removed Monero because of regulatory fears, that in a lot of ways that does protect Zcash. And so if privacy becomes more of a big deal, if it becomes a trend that people want to invest in and buy, things like Zcash are definitely going to see a lot of movement higher. And Zcash, even though it's not a huge market cap crypto, it is in the privacy coin space one of the highest market cap. I think it's probably right behind Monero. But yeah, Zcash, they've had some issues with how tokens are being mined and issued, but they've, long story short, over the last 6 or 7 months, if I can remember, the ECC, the electric coin company, they're kind of the people behind Zcash. They the inflation has been reduced in a nutshell. But yeah, there you go. So Binance thinking about removing it because he said, says Binance, you're considering delisting Zcash. What kind of world are you creating? Do you want your children to grow up in peace and prosperity, or a Black Mirror episode? Privacy is normal. Support Zcash. So yeah, there is a lot of backlash to this. Says literally nobody uses Zcash for privacy. It could disappear. None of you would even realize it. Oh, that's not true. But the funniest part about this post that was made is, I don't even know if it's the first one on here, but yeah, this one, you can't even list Cardano on your exchange. You have no right to defend Zcash. Now that is pretty damn, I should like that. That is pretty damn funny. Yeah. Yeah. And I have no idea why they don't have, Zcash on there. I mean, Cardano on Gemini. That's just weird to me. Okay, any guesses? A transaction fee of sending 10,000 USDT on Polkadot. I believe it is. I think it's less, 0.043 cents, maybe 1,000 times cheaper than Tron. Those are the guesses. Polkadot. Somebody just asked. Polkadot has had some issues, and it's mostly dealt with the governance side with how they were spending. But yeah, Polkadot is a very decentralized network. Yep. Cardano is, crypto has really two main camps. You have those who are in it for the politics / the beliefs of what crypto is supposed to be. And then you have where the majority of people fall in as a source of speculation and investment. And there's people who believe in both, that both are equally important. But, it's the thing with blockchain technology is that, like, Bitcoin is not private. Did it used to be difficult to, track and find owners of wallets? Yeah, but that has become, there's a whole industry now that tracks those kinds of things, and it's becoming more of a easy thing to do. So public ledgers, by their very definition, are not private. It may seem like there are things that are, well, I should take that back. Not all public ledgers have everything everything obfuscated. Zcash, for example, if you want to, the only thing that, if for accounting purposes, is the only thing that you have to check if that's what you're looking for. Blah blah blah. I want to take a look at one market that is pretty much tied into, like, both communities are pretty much the same, where you have gold and silver. So gold today is up another 2.5%. And if you haven't paid attention to gold, that's not a surprise, because gold, Peter Schiff is having the time of his life right now, because gold finally has been doing things. But, it reached a new all-time high today. It is up to $3,300 an ounce, which is kind of crazy, but not really. And then silver still lagging behind, but still up there. I mean, I'm a huge precious metals bull. I buy it frequently, every month. I hate that over the last couple of years, the amount of the metal you get for the budget that I've set aside is getting smaller, but that's just the nature of the beast. Silver is very, very weird. Yeah, I'm gonna talk about silver here. Silver's the use case of silver versus gold, as far as applications beyond holding it as a store of value. Silver is a unique metal, precious metal, in that it's the one that's used the most. It's the most conductive. It's most refractive. It is, anything that has to do with green energy, like batteries, solar, especially, requires an insane amount of silver. Silver is used in medicine. Silver by itself is antimicrobial and antibacterial in nature. Copper. I can't remember if it's copper or silver where things basically die on contact. I think it's copper, but silver has a lot of the same properties. And like in wound care, silver is used a lot, like silver oxide, silver sulfate. I'm not sure, but different forms of silver are used to help in wound care because it keeps areas clean. Also, it's a store of value. Sometimes it's called the people's metal. And in a world where shit has hit the fan and you're living in the zombie apocalypse or a Mad Max scenario, silver is one of the things that is less likely to probably get you killed. Whereas gold, I mean, the joke has always been that in a end of world scenario, if you have any gold, you're just holding it for the next mean person to come and take it from you or to kill you for it. Also, if there's ever a point in the time in the future where physical silver and metal are going to be used as a de facto form of trade or an intermediary for goods and services, it is much easier to transact for common things and affordable things with silver than it is to do with gold. And one of the things you'll notice if you ever go to the bullion dealers is that if you buy like an ounce of gold or an ounce of silver, the prices are what they are. But if you go to fractional sizes, so if you go to like a half ounce of gold or quarter ounce of silver, you'll notice that the premiums are increased, and that's because, according to the people who mint these individual bullion pieces of bullion, whether it's fractional rounds or fractional bars, is that the cost to do it is pretty much the same as doing it for the full size ounce. And yeah, it's just more expensive. That you pay a higher premium for the fractional, and then that's true as you go up in value. It's like you get a discount for the larger the size of a single chunk of silver or gold, the lower the premiums. Yeah, so silver is sitting here at 32.80, and precious metals dealers and people who are gold and silver bugs have been saying for decades that the price of silver, paper contracts, basically, I mean, silver is it is arguably the most manipulated major commodity on the planet. Like JP Morgan got into some deep doo-doo recently, but I mean, none of these entities have ever had to go to jail. But silver is one of the commodities that entities like healthcare, automotive, solar, the military, anything to do with like electronics manufacturer. Silver is one of those. Have I bought Cello? Yes, I've bought Cello before. it is silver's one of the things that a lot of these entities are very, very nervous about spiking up in price. So, yeah. And silver has done very well over the last this year so far. It's done pretty damn good. Not as good as gold. But I'll tell you one thing, the ratio of gold to silver. Also, the mints, the major mints like the Perth Mint in Australia and the US Mint here in the States, ever since 2020, they've had multiple incidents of having to reduce the minting of their sovereign bullion because they've had supply issues of silver. And this is something that you see again, you have to take this with a grain of salt because bullion dealers and people involved in precious metals, it is to their benefit to constantly tell everybody that there's a shortage of the metals. If you dig through the BS and the marketing, there are very real supply constraints for silver that exist, and definitely if everybody were to demand the deliverables from COMEX, I don't think that they probably have less of a fractional reserve of the physical silver to fulfill all of those paper contracts than banks have in fractional reserves for their deposits. It would be pretty crazy. But the silver gold ratio here, is at 100.61. This is getting pretty high here. This is back to where it was in May 2020. And I want to say that, since they've been tracking this, 1997, the highest it ever was back in March of 2020 when it got up to basically, $120, 120 ounces of silver for 1 ounce of gold. The historical ratio of silver to gold is somewhere between, I think, like 10 and 40. That is the historical ratio of ounces of silver to gold. I think it's even been smaller than that. So over the last, let's say 15 years, it's been extremely elevated. Anybody who studies cycles, and when you're dealing with precious metals, these tend to take a while, but it's in my forecasting. I have gold. Gold is likely to reach a peak in 2020. Actually, I don't remember what I had my long-term forecast. You could always go look. It's over there. But let's see. A long time no see. You are right. Yeah, I finally, I think, have a schedule with dealing with like the family schedule with kids, and then work here at StockTwits, where I have this time in the morning to do these things again. So we'll see how long that lasts, because every time I feel like over the last 3 or 4 years that I've felt like, hey, I can start doing this on a regular basis again. Something comes up where that's not the case. So fingers crossed. GAN. Yeah, we can go over some GAN stuff. And somebody mentioned AVAX. Yeah, AVAX. AVAX is an interesting one. I've started to add a lot to AVAX myself. Standard Chartered has AVAX getting to around $250 by 2029. So that's a pretty good outlook for where it's at. AVAX is definitely one of the biggest leaders in the tokenization of real world assets. They also do a lot in the gaming space. AVAX is a good example of, I think, in a crypto industry that is maturing in that there are entities behaving more like companies, and they are changing the way that they're operating. Like you have people that are operating it like it's a company that wants to grow. It's not just like, oh my gosh, look at this. This is what we believe. This is how decentralized we are. This is the tokenomics, and blah, blah, blah. Now you have a lot of entities like AVAX where, they care about those things. They care about decentralization, but at its core, it's trying to be a successful enterprise, a successful entity that has use case. So, like AVAX, for example, all of California's car titles, the DMV of California's car titles, they are all on AVAX's network, which has cut down a lot of money and a lot of time that people have had to spend at the DMV, which apparently in California is like a horrible experience. Yes. Yeah, the market, it does open at 9. Let's see here. We've got the euro popping up here a little bit. The dollar index is down. It's below 100. That's good. The dollar yen is still down. Let's see. There's the yen index. This is still a scary ass chart to me. But if the yen closes above the Kijun Sen on the monthly chart, that will be the first time since January of 2021 that has occurred. Let's see. Another dollar earned or lost in a long time. GAN pros know how 2026 is going to be a major year. Absolutely. You take a look at the NQ. Yeah. Because you brought that up, let me get my note. All right. Yield Trade Journal. Let's see here. Where did I put this? All right. So these are my chicken scratches. But let's see, June 9, 2025 through June 30, 2026. I have highlighted the first thing I wrote is we're fucked. War, threats of war, conscription, arise, and the fears of supply chain vulnerability. And this has mostly to do with the physical supply chain vulnerability. I wrote that there's like the next big major boom is boating and water navigation technology. Likely to see some big boom. Silver is likely to thrive. Food commodity shock. And that'll be a geographical issue. I wrote this on the 28th of February, 2025. Recession likely between mid 2025 and 2028. I have it more nailed down to kind of be felt or begin in February of 2026. Let's see. That the recession, this is and this part is, these aren't my notes. This is one from I think it was Connie Brown wrote that the recession will affect all asset prices, including land and property. So, looking for a book, let's see. Well, what's this popped up? Japan agrees to negotiate new trade deal with the United States. And California's Governor Newsom asks court to block President Trump's illegal tariffs. Well, good luck with that. The recession will also hit like no other because it hits just as other major economic and social cycles begin. And I put in there in wealth redistribution, and I forgot to add my notes here that it's not the wealth redistribution that you think of when you think of governments saying, well, we're going to rob from the rich to give to the poor. This is more like a wealth redistribution broadly across all incomes, where there there'd be like a massive cut in tax, which makes sense because if it's a recession that is absolutely horrible, and you're looking at a possible depression, then if central banks around the globe, including the U.S., have already pulled every rabbit out of the hat that they can, the next best way, besides printing money, to really get liquidity and positivity back into markets and from individuals is to really just cut the amount that they get taken out of their paycheck by what's taxing them. So that could be a big deal. Let's see. Okay, now this one's going to sound a little weird to everybody, but July 2025 and February 20 through February 2020, July 2025 through February 20th of 2026. So starting this July and going into February of next year, there's this thing called an aspect. It's an astronomical term. And this is, let me find the other one. We can find on the screen here. Right. Yep. So do those look like planets? Yes, they are. And you have other, celestial bodies in here. So this is a map of. It's called an ephemeris. This has nothing to do with astrology. We're talking about astronomy. So all this data is pulled. Optima pulls it from NASA's JPL, and for whatever reason, in technical analysis and the study of markets in general, there are a lot of cycles that appear to repeat with human behavior and prices. So anyways, the point is this. There's something called the Saturn-Neptune conjunction, and that's basically when, if you are looking at Saturn and Neptune, where are you at? You're all the way over here in Bumsville, right here. When these two are 180 degrees from each other, so if we're looking at it from the Earth or the sun, it doesn't really matter here so much, but when these two are 180 degrees from each other, when they're sharing the same angle, that has been recently historically, a major thing for Russia. So 1917, when this happened, that was the Russian Revolution. The one after that was 1958. That was the East Germany and Russian upheaval. It was a pretty shaky time. The time after that was the next Saturn-Neptune conjunction was in 1989. That was the Berlin Wall. And the next one is in 2026. So I had just written here, things that seem pretty obvious for Russia. So Putin is dead, replaced, coup. So that's something there. Then finally, I've written here for, June 30th, 2026 through July 26th of 2027. So we're talking about July of next year and then July in 2 years. Major U.S. government financial crisis, bleak time for the U.S. There's likely to be a boom in entertainment, escapism, luxury boom, war. Gambling is likely, that industry cycles suggest there's either going to be a boom or a major bust. So, and whether that is like speculation in general or just gambling, don't know. But labor markets will be heavily. This is new cycles. We were talking about this is going to be a brand new cycle of human activity because 2026 is likely when we're going to see robots entering the homes, entering work, replacing a lot of things that humans are no longer doing or can no longer find humans to do the work. So that's going to be a big deal. And yeah, and the trade in jewelry and precious metals should rise. And then ultimately around 2028-ish. You know what? Let me find GAN's. GAN's financial timetable, the updated version, which is right here. All right. Oh, nope, that's not what I wanted. Right here. By the way, this, if you're unfamiliar with this is kind of a neat thing. This is GAN's financial timetable. Now, the original one that he did is right here. It was originally compiled by him in 1909, revised in 1934, and basically, this is GAN's timetable for monitoring, what's going to happen in the markets, and to some degree with human behavior and society in general. So if we look at the cleaned up version, let's use 2000. Where are you at? Yeah, this is like 2008. Actually, this doesn't do this very well, does it? It should have these highlighted where they're at. Sorry. Yeah, he did. Never mind. Yeah, 2008 says, this is the letter K. If you can't read it, it says K. Same as A, plus strikes, unemployment, many prominent deaths, extreme low stock prices, strikes, repression, despair, beginning of a new business generation, 4 years of rising stock markets and improved business markets, bear of goods, young men becoming prominent. And that is something that GAN, was really saying happened and would begin in 2007 and 2008. And I think it's crazy or not. I mean, the young men becoming prominent, who became president back then? Young dude, Barack Obama. You had a huge, it was the Great Recession. It was a bit of an issue that time. So when is the next similar issue? Well, we're looking at it here in 2026. It says normally the year in which you see major bull market high. Oh, this guy's kind of taking a little liberty with what GAN wrote here, but You'll see highs are at the end of a bull market arriving. This segment of the business cycle is typically preceded by higher stock prices and strong economic conditions. But it's the same as A, where, you know, there's going to be a suck time to be in. So keep that in mind. A year of panic in the stock markets, sharp declines. That was 2020. Yeah, I'm currently analyzing for cryptocurrencies. You know, I've been more and more thinking that the crypto cycle, the second one, began at the COVID lows. I mean, it is pretty much a 10-year cycle, like for Bitcoin at least. That's something to think about. But yep. So that is what is coming up in the near future. It says, I think crypto is almost done, just waiting for the Fed to drop rates for the final push. Yeah, I mean, I said yesterday, I was using the Ichimoku system as a good example of what to look at. I think it was like on Cardano's chart, or I mean, it actually doesn't matter which chart you're going to use for this, but why isn't that showing up here? Let's go to the daily. No, sorry, I wanted the weekly. It's the last week of this month and going into the first week of May. If you're wondering when altcoins or crypto are likely to see some type of move to the upside, where there would be a lot of acceleration in that direction. Last week of actually not the last week, it's like the last couple days, starting the 28th of April and going into the first week of May, is when it looks like we'd see that kind of drive higher occur. I think the total market cap, total altcoin market cap, might reflect that too. What is up with TradingView? It seems kind of slow. Like, why is it? Updates are hit. Why do you need the latest for? Confused. What's so different about this? Wait a minute. What is? It seems weird. I don't really see anything different. Anyways, yeah. So going into the first week of April, last couple of days of April into the first week of May, that is when, at least on the Ichimoku system, when things seem to appear like they're going to have the best, highest chance of making some moves. So anyways, I've got a meeting coming up here pretty soon, so I'll just leave it there. And unless something crazy happens, I'll see you guys again tomorrow morning. Later.